Hey, glad you're here. Welcome to another edition of AutoCorrected. I'd like to introduce you to Carl, a 1948 Dodge Custom. Now, today we're going to be doing brakes on this thing. Did you know this thing has a 230 cubic inches of raw horsepower? Now, can you guess how much actual horsepower it has? I'll tell you, it's an inline six-cylinder, 230 cubic inches, flathead, inline six. So let's get into this. And remember, at AutoCorrected, we don't make mistakes. We make custom modifications. AutoCorrected, we don't make mistakes. We make custom modifications. All right, so let's talk about a 1948 Dodge Custom. Other than the fact that you can see it here behind me, well, what is it? What is this thing? 230 cubic inches? I know what you're thinking. How in the world do you drive that thing without it ripping your neck apart? I know. Hey, maybe has a lot of horse. No. 102 horsepower. Except maybe if I'm driving it, because I'm kind of the size of a horse, so maybe it's 101 horsepower. But anyways, I digress. Anyways, this thing, a little bit about 1948 cars. Did a little bit of Googling. So, as you know, World War II was from 39 to 45. And so a lot of the manufacturers, because of delay and shortage of materials and, and all of the, everything going to the war effort, a lot of the car manufacturers didn't do any upgrades to their car from the early 40s to the late 40s. Only, and actually this car, 48 was the last year for this body style. In 49, they changed it and made it a little more flat on the sides. It kind of got rid of some of the round features of it. And this car had four different varieties. Had a two or four door sedan. It had a coupe. It had a convertible. And it had a station wagon. I know. They actually called it the Suburban. Wonder where GM got the name for their Suburban, huh? Well, I don't know. Not my business, right? I don't know. Can't see it from my house. But the Suburban and the convertible are very rare. You don't see them very often. And they're really hard to find. But hey, look, here's one right here. So another feature about the Deluxe, the 48 Dodge had two models, the Deluxe and the Custom. Deluxe was the lower base model. The Custom now, it had all the doodads, whistles, and all that stuff, all kinds of chrome. Plus, it had a fluid drive transmission. The precursor to what you know now is an automatic transmission. So, if you compare the 48 Dodge Custom to the other vehicles of the 48 year, you find that Ford's car, comparable car, had 100 horsepower. Whopper, I know, but it was a V8, 239 cubic inch V8. The Chevrolet Fleetmaster only had 90 horsepower in their V8 they put out that year. I'm sorry, no, that was an inline six also. And then you had Buick. Now, Buick, for the most part, was the better of the four cars, but it was also more expensive. The Dodge Custom was right in the middle of that, with Chevrolet being the cheapest, Buick being the most expensive, and Ford and Dodge are right there in the middle, kind of about neck and neck on price. But when you talk about luxury, again, the Dodge Custom fit about the middle of the luxury, but you can't beat, at the time, they couldn't beat Buick or Cadillac because they were the most luxurious of all. But also, another feature of the Deco Art on the front grille has what they call the waterfall look on the chrome of the grille. So that's another feature of the 48 Dodge Custom. So now you know a little bit about a 48 Dodge Custom. I know a little bit about a 48 Dodge Custom, but we're about to get into these brakes. See you in a minute. And this thing is sweet. It's all original. The owner's name's Mike, and he's had it for about 13 years. He got it up in Ohio somewhere. It's convertible. He uses it for parades and drive-ins and car shows, and it's become a staple around town. Everybody knows this car just about. So today what we're working on is the brakes. And he had a problem when on his last drive, when he pulled into his driveway. Luckily enough, it happened when he got home. His brakes failed on him. So this is actually the good side. But on the other side, we got to looking at it. Also, I want you to kind of note this brake system. It's very simple, but very, very effective. You just have 2 springs, and of course, there's your shoes, and then they swivel on these. So you have one, and there's 2 wheel cylinders, so they're independent of each other, but they swivel. This one swivels that way, and this one swivels this way. And so very, very simple, but very effective. And you know, in 1948, this was probably top of the line engineering right here. So what we found out on the other side was this shoe actually slipped away from the lining, slipped away from the metal piece of the shoe, and this cup, again, on the other side, this cup came forward too far, and the piston inside the wheel cylinder came out, and then when it tried to go back in, the end of the rubber seal caught on the wheel cylinder and wouldn't go back in. So we took it out, cleaned it up, made sure it wasn't ripped or torn, and we just slid it back in with the spring, put the cup back on it, and tested to make sure it wasn't going to leak in it, and it seemed to be fine. Because, you know, of course, everything for a 48 Dodge Custom is really hard to get. It's what we call unobtainium. So, so we've determined, also on the other side, we determined that the rotor, I'm sorry, not the rotor, the drum has been turned too many times. This is a fairly better one, but the drum's been turned too many times, and you can see it down here how thick it used to be. And I'll have to show you a picture of that later, or a video of that later. So we determined that the other side needs a drum, and it needs brake shoes. So we're in the process of looking for those now, and then we're going to get this thing together, back on the road, so we can enjoy this fine piece of automobile classic history. All right, so these clips sit here, and then there's like a sponge washer behind it, real flimsy metal, and it's like a foam washer behind this, and that's what keeps your brakes from squealing. And so we got these off. Now one of these, the tip off of it broke, so we got to find a new one. But we'll go ahead and change out these shoes and go ahead and get that part done. And then we'll work on the drums in a minute. I always try to put my parts the way they came out of the front, out of the wheel. I put them on the floor the same way. Even though those springs are exactly the same, I know which one went on the top and which one went on the bottom. Same with these clips. The bottom one's the one that broke. Here's the little anti-vibration washer, and that's the outside of it. It's real flimsy metal, and then the inside has this little felt, like a felt, real spongy, flimsy piece, and just fits inside there like that. That's what keeps your brakes from squealing and rattling. Same with the bottom. There you go. We'll clean these up in a second before we put it all back together. All right, so this is your cam that adjusts out. So there's a little bit of tension on this. This is a spring, and then it sits inside your wheel cylinder here. So we'll have to pull out on it and swivel up. Then just pull it off. You can tell that's quite old. Anytime you notice cracking on your shoes, that means they've gotten hot. And also look at these score patterns. That means this thing's gotten hot one time or another. It probably wasn't working very, very well. I'd say once we get new shoes on it, it'll work a lot better. bent too. So this cam moved on us. So we'll move it back to where it should be. So let's clean her up. When we get all back together, we're going to test those, make sure they're both open. And this one hadn't opened in a long time, so this might be bad. I think the next thing I need to invest in is one of the camera lights, those big round circle like lights that just puts light everywhere. I think that's going to be the next investment. That's those cams I was talking about that adjust your brakes out. See how you have a tip on it? That's to push your brakes out as they wear to get them closer to the drum. Now, when you get these C-clips on, you got to clamp them back down on the end so they'll hold. All right, we're going to put this in there temporarily. This is the one that's got the broken tip. It'll hold for now. And springs back on there. You can see my expensive brake spring tool. Only took 5 tries, whatever. And that's all there is to it, folks. 1948 Dodge Custom brakes.